Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devil Sunday to each and every one of you watching out there. Welcome to Game Day Live, presented by the Let's Go Devils Podcast Network and the Primetime Radio Studios. My name is Vinnie, Parise, and I am here with Shorts Guy as we get you set for New Jersey Devils hockey as they get set to take on the Winnipeg Jets. Welcome to everyone watching on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch. We are super excited to be here with you as the Devils are on a 2-game heater. Not all that great of a heater, but one that, you got to start somewhere. And you beat one really good team in the New York Rangers a couple nights ago, and then last night you absolutely destroyed the Chicago Blackhawks in every way, shape, and form on the road. And now tonight you're playing a team that's kind of in the middle of those two teams, the Winnipeg Jets. They're hanging on to a playoff spot by a thread. They were one of the better teams in the Western Conference in the first half of the season, and then since the All-Star break, the Jets have fallen off a cliff, and the Devils were part of that. They beat them the last time they played in New Jersey. But Shorts Guy, how you doing, man? How are you feeling about this game and what happened yesterday?
I'm doing very well. As far as yesterday, there are a couple bit of defensive mistakes on goals number 1 and 3 that I think the Devils need to tighten up. But other than that, they got the scoring open, and they responded well to going down 2-1. So I'm very happy about that. And then they kind of shut it down from that point on. As far as tonight, I know tonight could be another difficult one because, like you said, Winnipeg is fighting for their lives, and they're trying to hold on to that final playoff spot. And Winnipeg is backstopped by one of the best goalies in the league in Hellebuck. Great American goaltender, one of the best in the league, and all-star for a reason. So that could prove to be a bit of a difficult task for the Devils, which I believe I saw earlier that they're expecting Hellebuck to start, which will be fun because I do enjoy watching him. I do believe he was in net when we beat them last time, and we just kind of abused him. But that doesn't mean that he's not going to want to try to get some retribution for himself for tonight. But yeah, I'm expecting a good game. I'd like to see this heater continue just to stay ahead of the Rangers because they beat the Capitals today 4-1 pretty convincingly. We're at 104, they're at 101, the Canes are at 105. So there's a lot at stake tonight in these 2 points.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And the Hurricanes are playing the New York Islanders right now.
Yes, they are.
It's an exciting time. And I agree with you on Hellebuck. He's one of the best goalies in the NHL, in my opinion. And, sometimes when the Jets are having down years, I think any goalie or, whatever team they're on having a down year will impact their numbers and kind of how people perceive them. But there's a really, really good chance that if the Olympics were right now, or if the World Cup of Hockey approaches and Hellebuck's playing the way he is right now, everyone talks about the forward and the D, like Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes would probably be the 1-2 punch down the middle. Well, you got to think about the goaltenders, too. There's a really good chance Connor Hellebuck would be the starting goaltender for Team USA in game number 1. And that's, the guy the Devils have to try and beat tonight. It's not like they had an easy task last night with Stalock, and I know Stalock isn't like a household name like Hellebuck or Shesterkin. He's had an outstanding year with the Chicago Blackhawks, and he's hard to play against because he's one of those guys who acts like a third defenseman out there. He'll go play a puck behind the net and make a stretch pass to a forward or something like that. And it's very evident when you go there live and watch him play. So, they have their practice playing against these really good goalies, and it's just going to continue again tonight. And it's not like things are going to get any easier for them either. They'll face one of Jari or DeSmith against Pittsburgh. Columbus isn't really throwing anyone scary at you, but, they got Boston next Saturday. Whether it's Allmark or Swayman, the Bruins have a back-to-back next weekend, so it'll be one of those two. There's lots of good goalies to face out there. So we're winding down the season. This is the second to last week, and Gotta stick out these points, though. It'd be nice to be able to rest your guys with everything clinched, but I think playoff positioning is important to this team right now.
Yeah, and it's still the top 3 in the Metro are still up for grabs. Like I said, Carolina currently 105, we're 104, the Rangers at 101. If we could just keep pace ahead of the Rangers and get that home ice advantage, that would be fantastic. If we can get into that first overall spot, that would be really good as well. Personally, and I was talking to someone earlier today when I was out to dinner, I would love to see Devils Rangers first round. The guy I was talking to was not for that. I'm very happy with a Devil Ranger first round 2-3. And to be honest, with our road record, as much as home ice would be great, I think that we would do fine on the road. but just the fact that we're going to finish in the top 3 in the Metro Division, I think that's without question. That we're going to finish top 3 in the Metro Division. I think if you would have told any of us that in October, we would have been like, yeah, absolutely, we'll take top 3 in the Metro. I think any of us would have been happy with a wild card spot, like just eking in with a wild card spot. But here we are, top 3 in the Metro. I don't know if any of us would have believed that was even a possibility at the beginning of the season, let alone obtainable.
Yeah, absolutely. Top 3 in the Metro is clinched. The most points the New York Islanders can get is 97, and the
Okay, good.
Devils have blown past that. So,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
the Rangers, Devils, and Hurricanes have all clinched top 3 in the Metro. So that's a good spot to be. And with the way the guys are playing right now, like, I don't think it's crazy to think like how the way you're thinking. It doesn't really matter who the Devils play, whether it's home or road. If they play like that, the way they played the last 2 days, and there's gonna be good goalies in the playoffs. So not every
Mhm.
time you put on 40 shots are you gonna score 6 goals. There will be times you put on 40 shots and only get 3. That's how you win playoff games, though. The ice
Yeah.
becomes smaller in the postseason. Everybody seems to get a little bit faster, stronger, more physical, and you start to see your own guys start to, play the same way as well. So that shuts down even more ice, and chances are fewer and farther between. So,
Mhm.
these games, they're really important right now, and seeing everybody on the team contribute. Like we're seeing, I think the last night, the 3 best players forward wise were Timo Meyer, Eric Holla, and Jesper Boquist.
Yep.
And you think about the guys that normally run the Devils: Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt. Timo Meyer's up there usually too. So yesterday wasn't much of an outlier for him by any means. But when everybody's on, a few teams in the league that can just declare a win against the Devils.
Yeah, we're we're definitely one of those teams that's solidly deep, and I just think that the way that our team plays, especially with our top 2 lines, you could even potentially eke that 3rd line into this. I shouldn't say that, but as far as I'm concerned, with the top 2 lines and the bottom 2 lines, they're only numbered 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, just for basis of being numeric, because you can interchange 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 could be 1 or 2 whatever night, and then 3 and 4 could be 3 and 4, and it just really doesn't matter what line you're on, 1, 2, 3, or 4. You're going to get playing time. We can roll 4 lines, which is huge for the playoffs, and even better for Stanley Cup playoff overtime, because if you have 4 lines that you can roll and 4 lines that you can rely on and you have trust in, that's fantastic, because that means that guys are not going to get worn out only going 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2. I think that's a huge plus side for the Devils, because there's going to be an overtime game at some point, whether it's first round, second round, what have you, and you want to have all those guys available. But speaking of last night, Vinny, how was last night?
So, as you guys saw in the pregame show last night, I was there. New Jersey Devils versus Chicago Blackhawks at the United Center. It's always unique seeing the Devils on the road
Mm-hmm.
because most of the people there are rooting hard for their demise. And that's not something you're necessarily used to. You're used to seeing people around you cheer for the team you like. And, along with you. There were a lot of Devils fans there, though. I was actually pleasantly surprised at the following. I don't know if because, like, hey, let's go to Chicago on a Saturday in April. Like, that sounds fun. Like, of course that sounds fun.
Flights were cheap, because I was personally looking into it, like, and flights were pretty cheap at one point to go out to Chicago for, like, just the night was like less than $200.
Yeah. And I didn't go up to the ice for warmies in New Jersey. I was doing game day live at American Whiskey, and it was a lot
Mm-hmm.
crazier with my time. Um, Here in Chicago, I got to see like warm-ups up close. First of all, I said it yesterday. Kevin Ball is ginormous. I've never seen a human
Yeah,
skate that big in person, besides Chara.
yeah,
And
obviously,
because
yeah.
I've seen the Bruins play live with Chara at least 4 or 5 times, and that guy's unreal. But Kevin Ball was like, it was like I was taken back by it a little bit. And Timo Meyer's not as big as Kevin Ball, but you think about how he's a forward who's probably going to have 40 goals, and you're like, that guy's huge for a guy
Mm-hmm.
with those silky hands. And like, he's a power forward. And it makes sense when you watch him do wraparounds or the power move that fed Eric Holla in the game. Like, you need to have a big physical specimen of a body to pull off stuff like that. So that was one of my takeaways from pregame warmups. Unbelievable the amount of female fans that just go ballistic for Jack Hughes. And it was really cool to see, honestly. Like the Devils have one of those guys that just like everybody likes, male, female, like everybody is attracted to this guy. He comes on the ice and he attracts human beings to him for
That's awesome.
various reasons. And it was
And to
just
see that
so
away is
cool.
even better.
Yeah, and it was so cool to see like people just really excited to see the Devils. And like, yeah, of course, a lot of people were excited to see Jack Hughes, but Nico had his chance, and people were excited for Dougie Hamilton. And there were some people there seeing Timo Meier for the first time. In fact, I haven't tweeted the picture yet, but I'm definitely going to. There was a woman there, decked out in San Jose Sharks gear, and it was a Timo Meier Sharks jersey, and I believe she had even a Sharks toucan, and she had a sign that says "We miss you, Timo," or something along those lines. And she was a Sharks fan at the Devils Blackhawks game, rooting on Timo Meier, and she saw him have probably either his best or second best game as a Devil. And
yeah, absolutely.
It's just really cool to go to a game, and see your team on the road. You see in person. First of all, I always am taken back, and I've been to 1,000 NHL games in my life now, and I still get surprised at how much harder hockey looks when you're watching it in person than on TV. On TV, everybody looks like a machine that is able to do it correctly, but you notice mistakes a little bit more on TV. You see when guys, their crossovers don't necessarily work out for them as well, and they're behind the play and the camera doesn't pick it up. You also notice how really impactful guys like Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes are, and the way they manipulate play when the puck is on their stick. Like, yeah, you notice it on TV, of course, but when you're there in person, it's like, how does anybody ever stop these guys? How do they not each have 200 points? And you also get a little bit more appreciation for the goaltending position, because you could kind of see the sight lines a little bit more of the shots and all that. And I really enjoyed the game. The crowd was electric. People were super excited about Jonathan Toews returning to the lineup. Crazy loud when they announced his name in the starting lineup, and then he had an assist on the goal that made it 4-3. I believe it was Andreas Athanasiou that scored for the Hawks to bring them back within one before the Devils finally pulled away for good. Yeah, it was really fun. I enjoyed being there, and I was so happy to see as many Devils fans on the road as I did. There were a lot of Devils fans at Madison Square Garden when I was there earlier in the year, but like that's not that far, right? Like,
No,
it's annoying to get there, but it's not hard.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, that's one of those easy away games to get to is MSG. I mean, going to an Islanders game is an easy away game. Even to a lesser extent, going down to Philly is an easy away game. But yeah, I mean, I have a lot of experience going to away games for soccer. Not so much going for hockey. But yeah, it's always fun to be in another building and kind of feeling like you're the outsider and kind of feeling like you're on enemy territory. It's a good time, even though for you're an outsider in enemy territory in your hometown, which has got to be such an odd thing.
It's a very odd feeling because unless they're playing, so my brother's a really big Bruins fan, we wear each other's jerseys when the other team is in town. So like I have a bias towards the Bruins that I don't really admit much to Devils fans because they'll hate me for it, because anything New York/New Jersey associating with Boston is like not allowed. But like
only if you're a Yankee fan. Only if you're a Yankee fan.
That's true. And I know there's some bad blood between the two football teams and the Patriots for different reasons.
Well, if you're a Jets fan, well, I mean the Giants have nothing because they
smoked them. Yeah, they smoked them both
It's
times.
more so the Patriot fans might have some trouble. It's the Jet fans that really hate the Patriot fans.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so I have been the enemy there with two teams. And, but obviously it feels even more weird with the Devils because I'm like genuinely upset if they lose and genuinely excited if they win. And, but like a week later, I'll go to a White Sox game and all these people will be my best friends. So it is kind of like a weird feeling, but, I've been dealing with that for many, many years now. So, but you know what? It's nothing more than fun. And it was really cool to do the game day live from warmups. Like I've never done anything like that before.
Yeah, no, that was cool.
So, I hope that, made some people smile and everybody enjoyed it.
That's just the technology that Sam Wu is able to magically put together, just kind of like how we did our podcast from outside of Mullet Arena back in January. before he went to Coyotes Vegas, which was just a wild trip. Which again, next season we have to do, if it's on a weekend at least. Devils, Coyotes out in Arizona.
Yeah, if someone from the NHL is watching this right now, give me Gary's number. I'll call Gary myself. And the funny thing is, people probably think I wouldn't have like the stones to do that. I would absolutely call Gary.
Oh,
and
you
beg him
would.
to make
You
it.
would.
I would have there's not a single human being in the world that I'm scared to call. And Gary is for sure someone I would love to have a little chat. I have a couple other suggestions for him too. So if Gary ever wants to hit my number, I won't tell him to lose my number for sure. But
no,
really
but you'll
quick,
probably be very
before we-
quickly blocked.
Yes, that's true. Although I'm not a Gary hater. I don't love him by any means. I don't think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I have my critiques of Gary, but I also think Gary has done plenty of good things. And if he gives me a reason to come to New Jersey next year for an outdoor game at MetLife Stadium, Gary will be on my good side a little bit for a couple months at least. And if I ever see Gary hand Nico Hischier that holy grail in mid June, I'll enjoy Gary that day very much. So, but really quick before we move off last night's game, I wanted to ask you: did you think it was possible for Ryan Graves to score a goal like he did?
No. I think that Ryan Graves is just you see him as just a solid defensive player, but man, his goal last night was great. I know it was only his 7th of the season, so
yeah, which is a lot
he's
for a defensive defenseman.
Yeah, I mean he's popping home 7 goals in 70 plus games, which for, like you said, defensive defenseman is not too bad. But yeah, he's one of those players, and I was talking to that guy I was talking to today out at dinner. He said, "Well, we don't talking about the cap issues and who we have to resign," and he mentioned don't have to sign Severson or Graves, and I looked at him, I said I would sign Graves over Severson in a heartbeat, because I feel like Graves has done a lot of good stuff for us this past season, especially. And he's someone I would love to see if they can find a way to bring him back, to definitely bring him back.
I completely agree. Graves would be my guy over Severson too, just because I think Luke Hughes can be Damon Severson times 1,000. And I'm not necessarily certain that like Nemec is Graves. I think Nemec is more of like a two-way. I mean, he had a big goal for Utica today. He's different than Graves. I think Graves brings something that the Devils aren't going to be getting in Luke Hughes or Nemec next year, where I think Severson is a worse version of Luke Hughes long term. So that's my argument for that. I just looked it up. Obviously, Graves is not even close to Ken Danico, but Ken Danico's career high in goals in a single season was 6 in 1989-90.
Wow.
So I think that's the last year with the green jerseys. So Mr.
Close
Graves,
to 92. I think 92 was the last year with the green jerseys.
Oh, was it? Okay. So
I think so, yeah.
Graves, him getting 7 goals as the defensive defenseman that he is. Wow, Ken Danico did not score a lot of goals.
No, not at all.
It's honestly, I feel like it's impossible in today's NHL to play 1,283 games and have 36 goals. I just feel like you'd be out of the league if you were that puny of a goal scorer before you reach 1,200 games. But times are different. Those types of defensemen are so important. Ken Danico, he's probably the 5th best player in Devils history right now. So, credit to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the Devils, they have this game tonight against the Winnipeg Jets. They've been struggling, but they're one of those teams that you don't really want to play against all the time because they do have some studs. I mean, Pierre-Luc Dubois is a very, very good player, high draft pick, supremely skilled centerman. They got him for Patrick Laine, who they gave up on rather quickly. Obviously, we talked about the goaltending. Mark Scheifele's having a really, really nice year. Blake Wheeler's still there. Kyle Connor's one of the best players in the NHL. So I like the makeup of this Winnipeg Jets team. They're just very fragile. Like, it's like one of those things, like, how did they let what happened to them since the All-Star break happen? And the Devils, they got to try and be one of those teams that use their speed and their skill to take advantage of this issue that they're having.
Yeah, and on top of that, they're even though they've been crap since All-Star break, they are a team fighting for their lives currently in the playoff standings. And every point, like we think the points are important at the top of the standings, those points are just even double to triple more valuable at the bottom of the standings. Looking at the standings now, they have 87 points. Calgary has 85. So that's a that's one win for Calgary to be tied with them and into that wild card spot. So this again is a team that's fighting for their lives in order to continue to be in that playoff spot. And tonight aside, I honestly hope that Winnipeg makes the playoffs because Winnipeg just looks like such a fun atmosphere when it comes to playoff time when they do the whiteout and they get crowds in the streets, just a ton of people deep, and it just looks like a wild atmosphere. I just don't want to give them any points tonight. They can get all the points they want after tonight. That's fine as long as we get our two. But Winnipeg is definitely a team fighting for their proverbial lives right now, and it's definitely not going to be an easy game, especially with shooting against Connor Hellebuck. It's one of those things where we have to go out there. We have to do what we need to do on this back-to-back. So I'm assuming we're going to see VTech tonight because it's second half of a back-to-back. Blackwood played last night. I got to assume that most of the lines will remain the same for tonight. All you got to do is do what you did last night. Go out there, score goals, and win the game.
Absolutely. And before we wrap this segment up, I would like everybody in the YouTube chat to throw me your predictions. Put them in right now. I'll read some of them on air. And then, of course, we'll give ours here in a couple minutes as we wind down the show. Last night, you saw everyone contribute. And there was really no passengers offensively from the guys that you'd expect. The only one who I didn't think had the best game was Jesper Bratt in the first two periods. He looked like he was having a tough time getting his legs under him. But then in the third period, he was magnificent. And him and Hischier both kind of came alive in the third period. But, tonight against this Winnipeg Jets team, seeing how there was kind of evenly balanced last night, who are you looking at to come out here and kind of lead the charge? Like, are you looking for a big goal scoring night from Jack Hughes? Because the assists have been racking up like crazy. And, this guy tried to debate me on Twitter last night about how, like, the difference between goals and assists. I'm like, if Jack Hughes is creating offense, I don't care if he's the one putting it in the net or if he's making plays like he did to Boquist yesterday. Like, it does not matter to me. Don't care. Goals are goals. If Jack Hughes wants to use his vision to set up for other people, go for it. If you want to use your skill to score yourself, go for it. It doesn't matter to me.
I mean, I would obviously love to see Jack score tonight, but I'm 100% with you. If Jack is assisting goals, that's just as good as scoring a goal. And it's the goals are the glory, and that's what everyone looks to as the goal scorer. But you have to look at who's assisting. And if Jack is assisting goals, he's still producing points, he's still producing goals, and he's still contributing to the offense. I would love to see Jack have a good scoring night, just to up his goal totals. It would be nice to see Jesper have a complete game, but kind of going like what you said with Bratt and Hischier kind of not really picking it up to the third. That's the advantage of such a deep team is two of your top guys can have kind of two off periods in the beginning of the game, but you have, what is it, 10 other guys that can pick up the slack and can contribute instead, which is really what you want. To see Jack score tonight would be fantastic, and to see Hischier and Bratt to have a complete game would be great as well. And also to see Timo Meier continue what he did last night and just kind of pick it up into a second game and really not only justify the trade, which I know he has, but to really justify that trade and to make a statement as far as wanting to be re-signed and why we need to re-sign him for next season and for the future as well.
100%. And I'm with you. That's my guy, Timo Meier. Like Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier, they need to be the team's best players every day. And I think that goes without saying. I think they are the two best players, but the Timo train has to keep going. I mean, that guy's a bull. I think besides Hughes and Hischier, he's the most important forward in the playoffs because he's got a big body and, he can hit, I'm not a hit counter because people are like, oh, the Devils need to hit more. I'm like, that means you have the puck less. Like, no. And so, but he does throw the body around when he needs to, and he could also use his big body to create chances like he did with the power move, setting up the Haller goal, or even his wraparound goal. with his big long monkey arms that he's got. Like, I think his abilities, because of
That
being, a physically gifted person, I think I'm in agreement with you.
that wraparound goal was so fast. That shows the skill that he has to do that so fast and just to get that in. And just it was a beautiful goal from a goal scorer standpoint. It sucks from the goalie standpoint to have a wraparound scored like you have a wraparound scored like that on you. If I can talk, that would be fantastic. Um, but yeah, that that just showed his speed, his agility, his ability to hold on to that puck and to just tuck that in. I loved seeing that, and he has to continue. He has to have another game like that tonight. The bottom line is they just need to go out tonight. They're probably going to have an off day tomorrow. Go out tonight, get these 2 points. Keep that gap between us and the Rangers, regardless of what Carolina does. Even if we have more points, I think they'll still be ahead of us. I guess we would be ahead of them in the standings if we had more points, regardless of games played. But just get those points, keep that gap between us and the Rangers. If we get first, we get first, but just keep that gap between us and the Rangers. That's what I want.
Absolutely. Someone asked in the chat, how is Winnipeg's defense? Steve Engel. And before we get into our predictions, I'll just touch on that really quickly. Winnipeg's defense,
Mm-hmm.
they obviously could be a tad bit better at defending, I think, lately in the last couple games. But, I mean, Josh Morrissey's their second leading scorer. He's got 69 points, which is a lot for a defenseman at this stage of the game. Dougie Hamilton's probably right around there. Dougie Hamilton might even be in the Dougie Hamilton is in the 70s, I think. But I'll actually triple check that before I let that. Yeah, 71 points for Dougie Hamilton. But, even guys like Neil Pionk, 31 points. Dylan DeMello, 24 points. Brennan Dillon, 22 points. They have Nate Schmidt, who's been really good in his NHL career at 16 points. Then a couple other defensive-minded defensemen near the bottom of their scoring. But, they get a lot from their defense. And I think that's part of their attack is to join the rush and make the forwards around them better. So they are dangerous, but I think the Devils have the speed and the skill to expose them. So we will see what happens. We have a prediction in from Mr. Sam Wu. 6-2 Devils is Sam Wu's prediction.
Okay.
So before I read off some of these from the internet chat, Shorts Guy, who do you think, or what is your prediction, and who do you think is going to win the game by what kind of score? You're going to be wrong.
I'm going to be wrong. I hope I'm not wrong on the winner of the game because I'm going to predict the Devils to win. And I'm going to say 4-2.
4-2 Devils from Shorts Guy. I really like that prediction. I think 4-2. 4-2 to me, based on, and I would have never thought this before doing this show or whenever that last was before I did the show. 4-2 seems to be like picking a team to win a series in 6. Like 4-2 just seems like the common prediction for some people. Like if you're going to win the game, you're going to win it 4-2. That's just a common hockey score, I guess, in people's minds. And so when I hear you predict that, I'm like, okay, so you're kind of banking on the Devils to just have just a solid game against Winnipeg, and I like that. So,
a 4-2 game could also be a very tight game, being 3-2 with an empty netter at the very end. So 4-2 could actually be a very tight game. You just happen to score within the final, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute because the other team is really pushing hard for that game tying goal, but they just don't get it, and you get it, and you get that empty netter. So it could actually be a really tight game too.
How many 4-2 finals have we seen in our day look like they were going to overtime 5 minutes prior or less? Like you're tied at 2. Team gets a late power play, scores a power play goal, and then they throw one in the empty net because the team tried to tie it up quickly. Like that happens I feel like that used to happen to the bad Devils all the time.
Oh, we would always give up the lead and whatever within the last 5 minutes over the last couple of years. It's like the last 5 minutes we'd be up 3-2. It'd be like, all right, here comes 3-3. How the hell is this going to happen tonight? Because it happened like this last night. So there's the last 5 minutes, a couple seasons in a row were pretty detrimental to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dave Singer says 4-3 Devils in overtime. Ted thinks Devils 4-3 in regulation. Eric says 3-2 Devils. Steve Engel says 4-3 Devils. Shane says 4-2 Devils. Jack with 2 goals. I like when people throw a little prediction
Side
for our
bet in.
goal scorer in there. Yeah, throw me your side bets. I'm probably going to fade all of you. Select the Boy says 4-2 Devils. The Ramona Rice prediction, always pretty
She's
close
always
every
good.
single time.
She's always good.
Always, not always exact, but always within the ballpark. 3-2 Devils. Supernova wanted to point out to us that the Isles did go up 1-0. So that's outstanding
not
news.
good.
Maybe we could find out the goal scorer for that really quick so we could give them some love before we get off air. Max says 3-1 Devils. Chris says 4-2 Devils. What is my prediction for the game? I said yesterday 7-2, and it was 6-3.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hawks got one more, and the Devils got one less. So that's
Okay.
never the best. But I am going to pick the Devils to win tonight's game by a final score. Let's run it back from the score from yesterday. 6-3 Devils. 6-3 Devils over the Winnipeg Jets. It was J.G. Pajot that gave the New York Islanders a 1-0 lead over the Carolina Hurricanes, even though they are being outshot 2-1. So really, as long as the Devils win, that's all they can control. So go get that win tonight against the Winnipeg Wets. Shorts guy, you got anything left before we get on out of here?
No, I'm just I never think of this ahead of time. I always think of this too late. I'm thinking of throwing a small wager on a goal scorer tonight, and I might throw $5 on Mikey McLeod scoring a goal because he's plus 900, and just what the hell, why not?
I'll ride it with you.
Yeah,
I'll ride that with you.
Let's make a deposit here. Actually, let me check my other app, see who has the best odds for Mikey McLeod to score, because it would be great to see Mikey McLeod to score.
Yes, absolutely. And yesterday, winning faceoffs, they put this guy out there down a goal or like a big penalty kill. It's Heischer and McLeod. One of the you like your chances if one of those two is on the ice, the other gets booted out. Maybe the other will come in and do what they got to do. So it's been fun with this team, and I hope everybody enjoys the game tonight. It's going to be a good time. So, the Winnipeg Jets, they have this great roster that has been struggling lately, and the Devils are a team with this great roster that has not been struggling lately. So I'm waiting for Mr. Sam Wu to cue up the music here so we can,
if he's
get
paying attention.
Yeah, he's probably like me pregame show. Just
hey,
be a little
probably
yep. I talk way too much.
He's feeding
the sorry, I was too busy yapping.
You were feeding the fish, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. For those who don't know, the reason we were late is because VP was just talking too much. He goes from talking too much in one room to talking too much in this room. So we hope everybody enjoyed Game Day Live, and we will see you for Devils After Dark after the Devils take on the Winnipeg Jets in just a couple minutes here. And as the great Sam Wu, who was a little late with the music today, but I can't speak because I was a little late to the show in general, as always, let's go Devils.